well, go ahead, Darcy.
Good one. Okay. Hi, I'm Darcie Aungst. I have been the show designer at Dartmouth High School for the indoor percussion program. This is my 29th year working with the group.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, but guess what? You're about to go a year longer.
Yeah. My name's Tom Aungst. I'm the percussion director, and this is my 30th year at Dartmouth. I got here in '92. So working together for 29 years. Pretty cool.
When we are designing, we actually start by reflecting back on last year, what worked, what didn't. And then I love to read. We talk about a bunch of different literature or different things, any inspiration we can think of. I will say I met the request of the students this year. The students often want to be intense and have a little bit darker vibe to them. If you think back to Dartmouth and the Barbie year, that did not have kind of that dark vibe. And so this year's show, I love the music to this year's show. It's I don't know how much you want to give away, Tom, but we take some very classical pieces, but we put a twist on them and make them modern. But I think the way that we are portraying it, it will leave people still thoroughly entertained.
Yeah. Well, I think to kind of jump in, I think we try to, or at least I try to find music that is accessible. And, sometimes you may not think that music would go with that storyline or that concept. And then we make that work. If you look back on the Barbie year, there was music that if I played for people, they're like, man, that doesn't make sense with Barbie, right? But I like music that is accessible. It kind of talks to me. Like I'll listen to the original, and if it feels like that emotion or that character of a section of the show, it's probably going to work pretty well. And then we kind of put a twist on it with sometimes tempo, and the other guy that writes with me, Brandon Carita, I think he's brilliant. He writes all the front ensemble stuff, does all the sound, and he's able to really kind of, I guess, put that twist on, for the final product. So it's pretty cool.
I think the reason we have been a design team together for 29 years is that he has a true appreciation and desire to get the story right musically. And so he doesn't just pick tunes based on a concept that I come up with. He really pulls out, like, tell me more about the concept for the opening scenes. Like, tell me what the members will be feeling here. What does it need to feel like? What's it going to look like, so that I can find music or adapt music or write music from scratch that tells the story. So this year I'm really excited because to me the music feels like the soundtrack to a movie. And I already told you it's based on literature, so the music is really telling the story that we're telling visually. And of course they're playing a ton of notes and great stuff, creative stuff, musical stuff. But I think from my perspective as the show designer and more on the visual side of things, I appreciate that so much. And I think it's what makes Dartmouth Dartmouth. I think it's what makes us a fairly successful design duo.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Our process is, I guess like a lot of groups' process is very unconventional. Ours is, we'll have full meetings. We'll have a couple of those, right? And then the rest of the time, it's like me calling her and asking her a question. So our meeting could be 5 minutes long. Or I'll text her. I'm like, well, what did you mean by this idea in the closer? And then I go, oh. Because what I try to do is, and you got to remember, it's drums in a gym. Like I always tell this story. She said to the parents one day, we had a meeting and we were doing props. And she says, I need 17 trees that look like they're live and they have to move around the floor. But of course, we got to get through the doors. And then some of the parents went to Walmart and they bought like rubber trees. And she's like, no, they got to look like real trees. Like they got to be like outside, the trees you see outside. So we had this one guy that was able to take chicken wire and put foam in the middle and made these trees and put a top on and the whole thing. So it's like she has the ideas, the bigger picture, and sometimes like what I have to do or what the parents have to do sometimes is, okay, we have to remember it's in a gym and it's drums, right? But I like her thinking. I think that's another reason I like working with her is she thinks outside the box. But I think the other part of it too is we like to do concepts that are accessible to the audience. Like one of my goals is I want the audience to clap and enjoy what we're doing. And if it gets too, I don't know if this is the right word, weird, especially because it's drums in a gym, it people go, what's going on? I don't want ever people to walk out and go, we don't know what they're doing, but wow, like look at what they're doing. This is really kind of cool. So, so our process is, it's a lot of years, right? 29 years. It's pretty cool, and it's worked. It's worked pretty good.
Yeah, and I think that when I'm thinking about a concept, I want every single person in that gym to, when they hear the title of our show, I want them to have a visual idea of what that is immediately. Yeah. So I try to pick something that everyone knows, but that we can really put meat on and twist around and mix it up and have some surprises still, but that if everyone knows it, you don't have to try to spend your whole 7.5 minutes explaining what you're doing. You know from the time they say the title and set the floor and the props up and see the costumes, they know what you're doing. And then the fun part for me is, how do you surprise the audience and excite the audience and get a reaction if they know pretty much everything about what you're doing? So it's like, what can you do with this concept that everybody knows and visually and musically represent it in an exciting way that gets people off their feet, hopefully, and gets the members excited, right? Like, that's what I love. That's why I keep doing it. And I still get excited about it after 29 years at Dartmouth. So
yeah. I think the pandemic for the whole world has made it hard for kids, especially to, they were trapped and all of a sudden now they're doing this. And I think it's tough for them to socialize sometimes, right? I think doing the indoor percussion, it's a way for them to get together and work and learn how to socialize again as people. I have one senior in the drum line this year. And in the front ensemble, we have 3, I believe it is, 3 or 4. So it's a small senior class, right? So some people might think like, well, you have a small senior class, so you don't have a strong leadership. But it doesn't mean if you're not a senior that you're not going to lead. So the junior class, that's a really strong class. There's a lot of players in the drum line in the front ensemble that are really good players that have stepped up. Like the section leader in the drum line, he's a junior. And I actually taught his dad in the Garfield Cadets in the snare line, Willie Higgins. Willie Higgins teaches here at Dartmouth. So his son's the section leader. Willie's oldest son, Luke, is my cymbal tech here too. So he went through the program. So the juniors are kind of stepping up. I think the tough part we find this year and even last year was just the kids don't know how to act sometimes. We don't even, as like this emotional, whatever turmoil that we've gone through in the last 3 years. We're still feeling that as we're rehearsing, as we're coming together. But I think it's good because it's making us stronger. Because go ahead.
It gives me this year's group. I feel like we're on the road to recovery after COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like this group has been so open. I always do movement rehearsals with them at the beginning of the year with the battery specifically. And, it's awkward for them, like asking them to do true dance movement. And they were so open and so serious about it, about getting better and about taking feedback on how to get better quickly. I have loved and learned from every group I've ever worked with at Dartmouth High over the 29 years. And this group, I just enjoy teaching. I just enjoy coming to rehearsal, I have a very intense day job, and so I come to rehearsal at night, and they always brighten my day. I'm here in New Jersey right now at an indoor percussion show because they asked me to come speak about what makes Dartmouth Dartmouth. And I think one of the things I'm going to say is at Dartmouth, everyone is expected to be a leader, not just the seniors, not
Right.
just the section leaders, right? Everyone should conduct themselves as an example for the person next to them. And so I think that's, as an adult who works with kids for a full-time living, I think that's such a great gift as an educator to work with students who take that to heart. They try to be better every day, not just better performers, but also better leaders and better human beings to each other.
Yeah, well, and it really is a great group to work with. I mean, there's a culture that has been set here for 30 years, right? So they understand what they need to do. It's a quiet group, but I mean, I have students that come in rehearsals at 6, they're here at 5. I have a student that stays after school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for 2 hours, a marimba player. I think Mikey might be a sophomore, gets it. So he's here practicing for 2 hours every day after school. We could start rehearsal 15 minutes early. The kids are here ready to go. They're usually stretched before 6 o'clock. It's like the culture is ingrained, even though we've missed a couple years, But some of that has to do with we still did indoor. We just didn't go anywhere. And we still had kids that were leaders, and they passed the torch to the next group. And, but I'm always talking to the kids about other years. I say, hey, look at 2012. Look at 2014. Because they understand the legacy and the excellence that has been here for a long time. And, hey, they want to keep it going. I'm proud of the group. I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of what I've done. We did indoor last year. We went on, competed. We did it virtually. I mean, I was afraid to lose my program. I was afraid to lose kids, So I'm proud of, this is a good group. The show is going to be great. And I told them by the answer, you guys are going to be great. I mean, there's a lot of depth in the show. There's a lot of stuff to check out, and a lot for the. That's why it's taken us so long to get it out on the floor. But I really believe it's going to be one of those. Pretty awesome. I think when you're competing, you want to. It's natural to kind of go there and you want to do well. Like you want to win or you want to make finals. I think that's all good, but you can't really control that, right? Because it's very subjective. So we don't worry about that. We worry about putting a great show together. Make sure that the kids like what they're doing out there. Make sure the show is creative. If we feel like we've checked off our design boxes, I guess, and we feel good about what we're doing, that's real important. I think excellence is always a goal. You want to be the best. There's 45 students in the group. I tell them, if this is math or English, you have to get 100 on every exam I give as your teacher. You have to get an A in the course. Everyone, there's no bench. It's not like football, you sit on the bench. I mean, everyone's varsity, and we have 8th graders in the group. And so it's it doesn't matter if you're in 8th grade. You have to perform like you've been playing that instrument like a senior for 4 or 5 years. Now, on February 11th, you might see the 8th graders, but hopefully by the end, you won't notice that we have 8th graders in the group. So bar's here, and no matter the talent level, whatever we got, we're always gonna get to that standard of excellence that we all try to achieve. So, and the staff knows that as well.
Yeah, my goal is to get the audience to stand up.
Yeah. Well, we're going for two standings this year.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
seriously, we're going for 2 standing ovations.
I want the kids to learn and grow throughout the season. I want them to grow as performers. I want them to grow as humans and teammates. Right. I want them to feel what I used to feel as a performer. I think giving back to this activity is what makes me feel good. I love it. I love to give back to something that gave me so much. As a designer, my goal is to always be entertaining. As an educator, my goal is to always have the kids grow and develop, and they will not all major in music. They will not all go into performing arts, but they can all take the skills that they learn from being a part of this group and striving for excellence every single rehearsal. So
Yep.
I hope they carry that with them. They leave a legacy on my heart. I'm getting emotional. Have members who are children of former members, so we have been here for a really long time, and you start to think about the legacy you leave and the legacy that all of the students that we have the privilege of working with leave on us. So I'm just very grateful to be at Dartmouth and to be in this activity, and right now to be with Old Bridge. I think it's a rare and unique activity, and we should all be grateful.
Well, I do think that's important to just say is, I feel blessed to be at Dartmouth. I sometimes I kind of go like, I can't believe they pay me to do this, right? I have kids that it's like teaching a drum corps. It's like a mini drum corps, and the program here is I get to start them in elementary school, and I'm with them until they graduate. So it's one of those, like, if you don't like Mr. Aungst, you're in trouble from the beginning, because you have me for 7-8 years. But again, I'm blessed. I come to work, and it's not a job for me. It's who I am, right? So at some point when I retire, which is maybe 3.5 years, it's going to be tough, because this has kind of been my home,